Today's episode was sponsored by Loot Crate, the subscription box for the geek, gamer, and or nerd in all of us. For less than $20 a month, you get 6 to 8 items of gamer and pop culture licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique one-of-a-kind items, and more. Make sure to head to lootcrate.com/kfgames and enter code KFGames to save $3 on any new subscription. This year thus far, there have been crates featuring some exclusive items from Star Wars and Voltron, as well as some epic geek apparel from our favorite shows. A crate all about strategy games, a crate all about covert operations, and there's only more awesomeness to come. Remember, you only have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when the cutoff happens, that's it. It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/kfgames and enter code KFGames to save $3 on your new subscription today. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 42 of the Kinda Funny Gamescast. I'm Tim Gettys, as always, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Colin Moriarty.
It's an overwhelming way of describing it,
but
I'll never get used to it. I appreciate that, though.
Yeah, the other half, Greg Miller, off. Doing some crazy
Nashville.
stuff. Not really sure.
Randomly, yeah.
But we replaced him with something way better. Way better. We got Aaron Greenberg, who is the head of first and third party game marketing for Xbox. That's a lot of things.
It is a lot of
things. A lot of games and a lot of things.
So this is going to be a very special Xbox-centered episode
I'm excited
of the
about
Kinda Funny
it.
Gamescast.
I'm excited about it.
You know, because usually people know us as Nintendo and PlayStation fanboys. So
Right.
I'm excited that we're going to, you know, kind of delve deep into the other side.
Yeah, and we have questions, as I've said many times, even when we talked at E3, everything looks so promising this year and next year for Xbox. There's a lot of good games coming out. Seems like the schedule of first and second party games is nice and spread out, so you're covering a lot of territory and stuff like that. So we have a lot of good questions, and also questions from the audience, which I'm going to.
We have many questions from the audience,
Awesome.
so this is going to be good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a crazy time of the year for us, but good to get down here and spend some time with you guys. And definitely a fan of the show. And
Thank you.
Awesome.
I feel like I've stepped into a little bit of like the Sony. I've got Shu behind me, Resistance, and so.
You're in
by
the
the way,
shrine.
huge fan of his. So I got, I got to
yeah.
host him at E3 this year when they came through and see our stuff, and just a first class guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Very awesome. For those that don't know, this is the Kinda Funny Gamescast. Every week we talk about our passion about video games, distributed over at youtube.com/kindafunnygames, Monday through Thursday, topic by topic, full episode on Friday, and on all of the iTunes and all the different podcast services. Please go there, rate, comment, subscribe, do all that type of stuff. And then if you want this episode early, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Throw a couple dollars that way. You can get the audio early, the video early, a whole bunch of other
I didn't know that.
fancy things. Oh yeah. There's a whole
$2. I get it early.
We have
the audio is $5. The
Okay.
video is 10 for a month. You get the
Got
whole
it.
month of it.
Okay.
So this episode will be going live tomorrow morning,
Got it.
aka tonight, really late.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
this is gonna be
we have
pretty-
great support from our viewers and
exciting.
listeners, so we appreciate you.
That's awesome.
Very, very
That's
much
great.
so. So getting right into it. Topic number 1 is the holiday lineup for Xbox.
Yes.
You obviously are familiar, as your shirt kind of says. Tell us about it.
It's been an incredible lineup to be part of. I think it's, many years in the making. A lot of our big AAA games spend multiple years in development. And so a lot of seeds that were planted, frankly, are big investments we made more closely timed to when we launched the Xbox One. And we started to look at what are the type of games we want to have 1 year, 2 years from now. And to be able to have a year with, we did Rare Replay to kind of kick off our holiday. Then we followed that up with Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Then we followed that up with Forza Motorsport 6. And then now, of course, next week is Halo 5. And so, and then after that is Call of Duty and Tomb Raider and Fallout 4 and Battlefront. So there's no shortage of games. As a gamer, hopefully you've saved up all your money because there's a lot of great games. We're obviously, I think we have our strongest exclusive lineup we've had, which we're really excited about. But there's just a lot of great games, not only on our platform, but even from our third-party partners.
I want to, before we even get into the guess the games that are coming up, I want to start with, you mentioned Rare Replay, and we did an entire week, I think, of Let's Plays for this. And what I was really interested in is not only the heritage of that studio, but also the thought. This is what we were impressed with, I think, the most. The thought and the energy that was put into this. This wasn't, what was so impressive about Rare Replay to me was not that we get to play these games again, but that there's a lot of production value here. There's a lot of thought and the achievements and presentation and replay value.
Huh? It's rare how much replay value there was.
Unintentional, but
Wow.
but pertinent. So I'm curious, how was it received by gamers? Did it do well? And are you kind of looking at other catalogs that you might have in your control that to do something? I know you can't do something maybe as thorough as Rare Replay, but does this kind of give you thought that maybe it's time to re-release some old games as well?
Well, I was actually just out at Rare last week, and I was there when they first pitched us the idea a little over a year ago, and we said, hey, next year's our 30th anniversary. We have this vault of games, and we think we can get them up and running on Xbox One. And they actually had to go back into their sheds, because they're on kind of like a big farm property. And we went through the stack of like these laminated cards that were basically like the front and back of box of every game they've made. And it was hard to pick 30 because they've made so many great games over the years. But I'm really proud of what the team did. It was very much a passion project for them. And it really kind of, I think, celebrating what they've created over the years. And they did it in a very lovingly way. And I think a lot of the video unlocks and a lot of the different things they did with special challenges. It was not just a compilation where they outsourced to some company that's like, oh, we'll just put a bunch of things together and sell it as a 30 game pack. They created it themselves as something special for the anniversary of Rare. So it did really well. It's ahead of our forecast. We actually, even the first week at retail, we were sold out. So we had to restock. We usually don't, it's not usually a problem you have where games are stocked out at retail anymore. It used to be that way. So that kind of surprised us, and it's doing really well, both in physical and digital. So we're excited. I think, we've got it in one of our holiday bundles now, and we'll be doing some other promotional things with the title throughout the year. And then, but as far as other compilations, I would say this was pretty unique. So we're not now going to go run off and, create 6 other things. This was something special for Rare. And I think it'll be a product that, frankly, I think will do really well. Long-term is kind of an evergreen product. And secondarily, it's a product like for me as a gamer, like I want to have it. And it's not something where it's like I play it and trade it back in or whatever. It's like, you're just going to want to keep it.
That's part of your museum. You know what I mean? Like you want to have that as part of the collection.
Yeah.
What about something like Gears? Like how's the reception of that been?
Gears did really well too. So we were really lucky, our first 2 titles in what we're calling the greatest games lineup in Xbox history.
Good thing to call something.
Yeah. Now we named that ourselves, so we might be fans, it's like looking in the mirror and saying, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, gosh darn it, people like me. But it did really well. Both titles reviewed well. Gears had the same issue. It sold out in the first week at retail, selling well a bit ahead of plan, which is just great to see, Gears Nation kind of, wake up. And I think what we did with the backward compatibility collection add-on, we kind of surprised fans with that at the end. So knowing that buys or plays the game through this holiday, we'll get all the Xbox 360 Gears games as part of that via back compat. And that really kind of sets up what is really the big title for next year, which is Gears of War 4.
Which we're excited about. I can't wait. Gears of War 4 looks so cool when we saw it at E3. And just the presentation was exciting, and that will certainly get me to go and play. I'm stoked about that game and that series living again and having kind of a different dynamic with a different studio and a different kind of take on it all. I'm curious, since we're recording this now, a lot of people won't hear this until the week Halo 5 comes out, and obviously this is the big one, right? Yeah. I mean, this is your big game. What has the buzz been for Halo 5? It's something that I remarked. We had worked at IGN forever, and I remember there being this massive crescendo of excitement in the months leading up to 3 and 4, and it felt a little lighter this time around, but a lot of our Xbox fans out there have told me that I'm just not paying attention to the right places. So what are you seeing for the excitement with Halo 5, and I mean, how stoked are you kind of just to finally get this out into the wild?
Well, first, we're really excited. The game is delivering. I don't know if you guys have played much yet, but I played through the whole campaign. I think it is, for 343, what they'll tell you is this is the Halo game they've always wanted to make. It's on a whole new engine. And they really did a lot of innovation with this title that I think is well beyond what they've done in the past. And so I personally, it is the best Halo game I've ever played. At least I played through campaign. And I think fans will react really well to it. And I think the innovation with multiplayer is there too with Warzone. From a campaign standpoint, we started in the spring early and we did the media spots with Lock and Chief to kind of set up the whole Hunt the Truth. And then we did the whole podcast series. This podcast thing, by the way, seems to be taking off.
I know people seem to like these things.
They were alive and they kind of died. Now they're back again. So, and that did really well. And then, it's been kind of a dream game to market because, we have 2 heroes and there's a really rich story. And I think Halo feels like perhaps maybe the most anticipated game of the year, because it's not a title that comes every year. You sort of wait. It's been a few years since, Halo 4 and 3 years. And so I think, when you start playing, at least for me, it just reminded me what makes it so special. And, you're in that sci-fi setting and the rich story, and to be able to play as Locke and Chief and new weapons and all, the verticality of the design and some of the modernization of things you can do like ground pound and other things like that, I think just made the game really fun. And so for us, we did a lot of things I think that were a little bit different. And then we also did the whole UNSC propaganda, Chief is dead message, which would sort of be like when the government comes out and tells you something, there was a bombing in some country, you're kind of like, I don't know if that's a real story or not, but it's what they're telling us. And then the second ad that came out was Locke. The official story is that Chief is dead. The unofficial story is Locke, you're on a mission to hunt him down. And so that really sets up and drops people off. It's sort of what is the narrative of the game. And so we wanted to kind of build that naturally through the campaign. We're seeing record engagement as far as we look at conversations, views, all the types of things around the creative. And so we've been really happy with the response. And then the other thing we're doing is, we'll have a lot of retailers that will do events and stuff like that, but so many people, will buy, whether they buy at retail, the LCE offering or the Halo console, or they digitally download, they're going to already have the game pre-installed and ready to go. So we wanted to kind of create an unusual launch event. So we're actually creating a launch event on the 26th. We're doing it on YouTube. We're actually partnering with YouTube with this, and it's called Halo 5 Live. It'll run from 3 to 9 p.m. Pacific time on the 26th, and it's going to be TV quality 6-hour show. Awesome. It'll be very much like a New Year's Eve kind of thing. We'll see Australia go first, and then Europe, and then North America, and there'll be celebrity stuff, and there'll be a lot of folks from 343, some map reveals, weapons details. It'll be like an entertainment show, and we want to do is bring millions of Halo fans together around the world to celebrate launch in a way that we couldn't physically do at just standing outside a retail store.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys been working with Rooster Teeth at all?
We have.
Awesome.
Yes. Yep. They're going to be in the show as well.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. We're going to do some fun, celebrity gameplay. And I think they're putting them on a small map with all rocket launchers and that kind of thing. And so they're going to do some fun stuff like that.
What about in terms of something like Red versus Blue? Obviously, to me, as some Red versus Blue has always been a huge deal to me, and that's kind of a big part of the Halo experience is seeing how they kind of take each game and kind of use it in unique ways. Do you guys work with them like with Halo 5? Have there been meetings or anything or discussions about that type of stuff? That's not so much gameplay specific, but more experience driven.
Yeah, I mean, we've always had a good relationship with them. I don't personally engage with them directly. It's other folks on the team, and then I know they have good relationships with the folks at 343. And so I think the spirit of what they do is it's true to Halo. It's really entertaining. And so we want to celebrate that type of stuff. And so I know there's a lot of integration. I don't know the specifics of how much they were brought in early, but they're definitely a partner, and we're going to have them featured in the show for launch for sure.
That's cool.
With Halo 5, one of the questions we had brought up in the past, and people have brought up in our community, and we've certainly talked about, is there 100% confidence in with the experience with Master Chief Collection not working right at launch? Are you guys confident that those problems have been, they've learned that, whatever they needed to learn to make Halo 5 run? Are you guys worried about getting slammed the first week with players and suffering similar problems? And by the way, this is not exclusive to Microsoft. This happened to Sony with Drive Club and a bunch of other studios as well. So I mean, how are you guys feeling about that particular aspect?
Yeah, it's super important to us. I think a few things that we've done, obviously we did the Halo 5 beta last holiday, which went really well. We've done a lot of things. The engine and the infrastructure that Halo 5 built on is an all new engine, all new infrastructure, and you can imagine that was already built and designed in a way that Master Chief Collection wasn't. And of course, after the issues of Master Chief Collection, the team has done a lot extra checking and testing, and so the team feels like it's a product they're confident they can stand behind. And I think people will have a great experience. It's a lot of innovation. I mean, you leveraging Azure in the cloud, the kind of jump in, jump out co-op, instantly be able to jump in and play co-op with a friend and leave. Not many games are really doing that. People call it drop it, but it's literally drop in, drop out co-op, which I think will be great. You want to drop in for 5 minutes, play with your buddies, and drop out. Switches right back to AI. The tech behind that I think is pretty innovative, but the team feels good about the product and the expected reliability.
Mm-hmm. So then we move into November, and November is, for me, a big one because of Fallout, obviously. But you guys also have Rise of the Tomb Raider coming out November 10th.
Yep.
How are you? You're the marketing guy, so it's like, how do you? This is something that's actually been quite puzzling to me. Was there ever any thought of moving Tomb Raider out of the way? Because Fallout 4 to me is going to cannibalize everything. Are you guys worried about it cannibalizing your own exclusive game on that same day, or is it more important to kind of stay the course? And these might be for two different audiences anyway. I mean, how is that all going to shake out on November 10th?
Sure. No, we worked closely with like a lot of our internal studios on the Halo launch date, for example, when that's happening. And we talked with Crystal on Tomb Raider. The challenge is you have to look at the production schedule. You want to make sure that you don't rush the game so that it's not done and not at high quality. Like that's always the number one priority. The challenge with Tomb Raider is if you go a week later, you're against Battlefront. You go a week earlier, you're against Call of Duty. You go 2 weeks earlier, you're against Halo. So, and then you go late and you're like, well, the consumers still have money left to buy the game.
Right, that's a good point.
So there wasn't a better scenario for us, except that was the week that it wasn't going head to head against Call of Duty or Star Wars. We felt like the Fallout audience and game, while both fantastic games, they're not direct competitors per se, but you're right. It's two big titles launching at the same time, and we hope people will buy both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I had not, that's a really great and interesting explanation, because I had not thought about pivoting out of the way. Even 1 or 2 weeks actually just makes it even worse for the game. That's actually,
it's crazy. Like there's just so many games coming out for all the systems and stuff, but even just Xbox specifically, all those games.
Totally.
If you're an Xbox owner and gamer, like, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, that's
and most teams do. I mean, first party, we know what our dates are, but most teams pick their date not knowing what else is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then once it's like, well, would you rather launch against Call of Duty, Star Wars, or Fallout? I don't think there's a better.
Yeah, that's the ultimate like Hobson's choice.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. So you just got to launch and stick with your date and feel confident that the game will stand up, and we believe it will. It's a fantastic title.
Yeah. I mean, we got to play it a little bit at an event a couple weeks ago, and like it's fun, man. It's definitely awesome. I think it's so far better than the first one, and I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm excited for it. And you're right. I think it is a different enough game that the real big problem is the money and people having enough money to enjoy both, but it's not that they don't want both.
Right.
So I think that's the thing. And, we'll see. It should be interesting. The second topic of the day, moving forward a little bit farther into the future, 2016, specifically. How will the Xbox One stack up against the PS4 in 2016?
Well, I think you saw a little bit of our 2016 lineup and what we showed at Gamescom, but most people, even internally, as we've been meeting and kind of planning for next year, people are like, okay, this year we have Halo 5, we've got Forza, we've got, like this must be like our peak year, and then like next year must be down relative. But actually, we expect to sell more games next year, and we actually have more game titles releasing next year than we do this year. And if you start to look at that list of things that are coming, so we have Quantum Break-In, coming in April. We've got a Killer Instinct Season 3. We've got, as you go throughout the year, we've got things like Recore, Scalebound, Crackdown, Sea of Thieves, Halo Wars 2, Gears of War 4, and probably some things we haven't announced. So
where's Cuphead
that's an extraordinary lineup.
Yeah,
I need my Cuphead. When am I getting it?
Cuphead's
Where's
coming.
it at?
Next year coming. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. No, the team, we're actually investing more in that title to make sure it is great as it should be, and have a great partnership with the guys that are building that title. So you'll get your Cuphead,
great,
along with your Gears of War 4, games of all sizes. So,
yeah, that's incredible, because what I'm wondering, I didn't even consider half of those games when I'm doing my mental countdown, because you get into the Quantum Breaks, you're getting the Scalebounds, of course. Yeah. But yeah, Killer Instinct, that's coming. Sea of Thieves, that's coming. Yeah. So what are you going to call next year the best games lineup in Xbox history again?
Well, you can kind of just keep doing that, why not?
Or two, like the Roman numerals too. So the one thing Aaron, you've been in this industry a long time. You've been at Microsoft a long time. You're a smart dude. You understand this industry. I was reading NPD earlier this week, and the numbers continue to stagger me for both consoles.
Yeah.
Now, Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are outselling their predecessors, same month over month on the market for 24 months by 40%.
Yeah.
What does this mean to you? I mean, what are you taking away from this? Because this is such heartening news to me as a core console gamer. I don't want to play games on my mobile phone. I'm not much of a PC gamer, although I lose myself to Civilization 5 and stuff like that. But mostly, I'm a console guy. I'm a core console guy.
Yeah.
What do you see? What does this mean to you? Because obviously your competitor is doing very well, but you guys are also outpacing Xbox 360, and I feel like that is sometimes lost.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, people don't realize that, and not just from NPD in the US, but even globally. If you look at Xbox One sales month by month, how we stacked against where Xbox 360 was, and I think Xbox 360 was widely regarded as a huge success, and was I think a great platform for us. But we are month by month selling more Xbox Ones than we did Xbox 360, and we're actually widening that gap. So as we rate ourselves against ourselves, we're doing very well. We're also selling more games than we sold last gen. So we're seeing the console market being extremely healthy, and any of the early naysayers that went into this generation of, because it is cyclical. I mean, the console market tends to go down as you get into the later years, but then core gamers come back and they buy new consoles and they buy new games. And then there's, your other sort of segments that come in after that. And so we're seeing really, really healthy. And if you look at the games lineup this year, you look at the games lineup next year, we think, Halo will clearly sell a lot of consoles. Gears will sell a lot of consoles next year. So for us, it's been really healthy, and Sony's the same. Absolutely. So, we're seeing the industry all up, doing really well. Our third-party partners are doing really well. Activision, EA, those folks are, having great years. And so I think that, it's good. As a console gamer myself, I'm with you, and it's great to see a lot of innovation, a lot of great games, and the industry thriving.
Do you guys? How much do you keep on the blinders when you're at Microsoft or when you're at any other company in terms of we can't really worry about what the other guys are doing. We can't really worry about. We got to kind of focus on that. How important is it to watch the competition and what they're doing? Because it seems like 2016 is going to be the year when Sony springs to life a little bit in terms of their exclusives because they were very quiet. Yeah. This past year we had Shuhei Yoshida on one of our other podcasts, PS I Love You. And we were talking about, I just came to the revelation that they actually didn't release a first party game all year this year. All their published games actually were from second parties. So it seems like they're going to spring to life soon. So is that important to you guys at all? Or are you just being like, we have to just stay on our road in our lane and figure things out? We
largely stay on our lane. We obviously watch and monitor and see what they do. So I think we were surprised that they didn't have more games this holiday. We knew this is the third holiday. This tends to be a really big selling season. And so our focus has been on, focusing on our fans, delivering the games that they want. And we're doing that this year and we're doing it again next year. So I think we'll be very competitive. I mean, right now, I think most people would say we're the console with the best games. And so that's really what we want to hang our hat on, having the best online service, the best community for our fans. And so we're going to continue to invest there as a first party team, as well as working with top third party partners as well.
And I'm curious, since it's I don't know if it's unusual, but it's interesting that you control the marketing for first and third party. So you're kind of controlling both things. How do you balance that when you're looking at the games lineup? Well, even though we're not talking about the 2015 games anymore, you do have, your games like Tomb Raider and Halo, but you also have Battlefront or whatever, Call of Duty. How do you kind of balance marketing in terms of like, what is the priority to sell more first party games, or is the priority to sell more consoles and more games? And it doesn't matter if Battlefront outsells Halo as long as you're selling the games. Yeah.
So just organizationally, our first party and third party teams actually sit on opposite sides of the building. All of our third party folks sit in closed offices because if they're working with Ubisoft or EA or, whoever it may be, they have confidence. So we keep all that stuff confidential. So, the person that's working, on trying to think of like a key competitive title. But if someone's working on a competitive shooter, whether they're working with EA or they're working with Activision, won't be talking to the Gears or Halo team, for example. So we're really serious about that. We just look at the business all up. So we're definitely trying to sell consoles. We're trying to get as many gamers to play our titles. And so that's really the big focus. And we know that we'll deliver, some percentage, maybe 20% of the game sales, but 80% of them will come from our third-party partners. So they play a very, very critical role. And some of those are just multi-platform games that wherever some of them are things where we do strategic investments with them, or we're a marketing partner with them, or in some cases we, help invest and make the game happen. So just a variety of different ways that we interact with them.
And now shooting back to 2016, let's talk about some of these games. I mean, what are the games that you're excited about? I mean, tell us about, Quantum Break looks really, really good.
Yeah.
Scalebound obviously coming together. Platinum's kind of doing everything over there. We're waiting to see more about that.
Yep.
So like, what's 2016 kind of mean to you? And kind of we ran through the names of the games, so tell us a little bit about what games you're excited about.
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, I'm really excited about Quantum. I am much more of a story kind of campaign-based guy. I do play multiplayer. I'm not the world's most competitive multiplayer gamer, so I prefer co-op and things like that. So for me, Quantum is a story. We know Sam Lake and the team there, just like they did with Alan Wake, they did with Max Payne, and games I've always loved playing. Really rich, deep stories that draw you in, character-based stories, and so they're doing that again with Quantum Break. Now, what's interesting is they're also integrating the live action elements. And so to have the top tier talent like Sean Ashmore and other folks that are working with us on that also play characters in the game is something that's really never been done before in games. And so I haven't played through the game, but there are folks on my team that have played through the entire game. And I've read through their notes, and I've seen, we have a lot of reviews on the title and stuff, and the team feels really positive about how the title's shaping up. We think it will review well and do well, and I think it will, draw a lot of interest, and I think it'll help sell Xbox consoles, which is great. Titles I'm also super excited about. I'd say Sea of Thieves is pretty high up there. I was out at Rare last week, and we played the prototype. There's a prototype that was playable that we've been playing, and some of the core mechanics and the things that you do in that title are so much fun, and it is just a true Rare game where I think like core gamers will love it, but also it's this open shared world experience, and the setting of like pirates and ships and all these fun things you get to do together, and different people's personalities come out and what they do, and I found I'm actually a really evil pirate, very violent when I get on a ship.
Good.
So
it's always fun.
As one should be.
Exactly. Some people are much more cooperative, and I was just thinking, because our head of European studios and I were on a ship together, and he was like, raising things and getting stuff organized and asked me to go do stuff. And I was literally like hitting him with like a piece of chicken, and he's like, what are you hitting me for? We got to go. Yeah. I'm like, okay, oh, you're right. That's right. We should actually be and I was just like, cool, this thing, I can hit him with it. It was like, sort of just felt like a child. So, so that game, I think, we're seeing how visually that game is looking, and we'll show more of that title this year. I think people will be really excited to see that. I think you saw a little bit of what's happening with Crackdown and the innovation that Dave Jones and the team's doing there, using the power of the cloud and the real-time destructible environments, which just kind of blows my mind. And I think that is in reinventing the way games are made using technology that we didn't have last gen. You think about like, what is a true next gen game? Like, I think we're starting to see those games come out now. And I think this year, and I think even more into next year, you're going to see titles that just literally could not be made without the technology that we have today. Even Halo 5 is using the cloud and Azure. We talked about the co-op and design there. So those are all great. We spent a whole day up at Coalition looking at Gears 4 title. Same. It's world-class team under Rod Ferguson there. So another title that I think will surprise people. And so it's just no shortage of great games if you're a gamer, no matter what you're looking for.
What are some of the smaller titles that people should keep their eye on? Because obviously people are excited about the Gears and like Rare's making Sea of Thieves. So it's like those are the kind of bigger marquee titles. But what are some of the smaller ones?
We've shown some of them. Cuphead's a great example of one of the titles that we showed that we're really excited to get behind. The ID program is amazing because we're launching multiple games a week. And so I try to go in and play as many of them as I can. It is hard to keep up, but off the top of my head, I don't know some of the big ones for next year, but I can just tell you from like this year, whether it was like Goat Simulator or playing The Escapist or some of these indie titles, it just really surprised me how fun they were. I think the lineup of games will be even bigger next year. And so, so I think, we'll share more of those details, but a Cuphead would be the marquee game that I would say, if you're gonna pick one indie game to play next year, it's unlike anything else you've ever seen.
When do you think we're going to hear more about Cuphead? Because I want to know when I'm getting this game.
Tim's been obsessed with Cuphead since E3.
Yeah.
It looks so good. And the thing about it is everything
cool.
That's been released about it just gets me more excited.
Yeah. It's a fun game. It's a hard game. Very challenging. And so our team internally, and the two brothers that are building the game. We've been working really closely together and making sure that they are, they have enough time and enough resources to do everything they want to do with that title. And so I'm excited. We've really gotten behind that title. That's a big bet for us, and we don't want to rush it. We want to make sure it's ready and it's great. It's the first game they've ever made, which is also kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think the game will be fun. My feedback to them was like, maybe not so hard, we all loved Ori and how hard that was to play, and it was kind of rewarding, and how many times we died in Ori, but I think to make, we want as many people to enjoy your title. And, so I think being able to have some modes where people that don't want to just die 12 times to get through a level, some of us feel the challenge of that, but I think you want to make it more approachable too.
Yeah, I guess I guess I have a question. I'm not sure if you can answer, but I'm not, because you wouldn't necessarily make these decisions, but you might have some insight into it.
Sure.
Because you guys are working with, your second party partners as well. Remedy's a great example with Quantum.
Yep.
How do you, as a studio, or as really a team, because you're not a studio, but as a publisher, do you identify these partners and be like, we can work with these guys confidently, or is there any interest in acquiring these studios to join the family? Like, how do you kind of parse that out and figure those things out?
Yeah, so most of our big IP is done internally by internal teams, like Coalition with Gears, or 343 with Halo, or Turn 10 with Forza. And then all those titles, we call them published titles. So we have a publishing team. Actually, I have a publishing marketing team that works with that group. And largely what it is they're some of the best development talent in the industry, but they want to stay independent. They actually don't want to be owned by us, most of them. And so for us to be able to say, hey, we want to go hire these guys to go make a first party game, whether it's Platinum making Scalebound, or Remedy making Quantum Break, for us to be able to take that type of talent, have them go make something really innovative, Insomniac, what they did with Sunset Overdrive, tends to be a little more like new IP and things like that, which is also pretty exciting. And it rounds out our portfolio. So that's kind of the strategy, is to work with those independent developers. Over time, you've seen other folks that have done that, where they were independent and they ended, DICE was independent at one point and they made some games for us, and then they made games for, and the EA acquired them. So they do get acquired sometimes, but largely most of these studios stay independent.
Fair enough. I'm excited. 2016, it sounds like it's going to it sounds like it's going to be good just for console gamers generally.
Yeah.
It seems like everything's firing on all cylinders. The third year, it's going to be good. I'm excited about it. Quantum Break though is the one I think that I've identified next year is the one that I'm super excited about. And I mean, it's going to take second place to Gears, which is the game I'm most excited about on Xbox One next year. But yeah, everything's sounding pretty good.
Yeah, the Gears community is amazing. When we look at like our engagement with fans, like the Gears fans like are so passionate and so engaged, at levels we don't have with any of our other franchises. And so it's been kind of fun to see like that Gears Nation kind of reawaken, and the response to the Ultimate Edition. And then, I think as we start to reveal more about Gears 4, it's going to be a fun campaign.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'm still excited for Cuphead, so that's great. That topic brought to you by DraftKings. Your season-long fantasy football team may be going strong, but you don't have to wait until week 16 to get paid. Put your fantasy skills to the test every week this season at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. With one-week fantasy, there are no season-long commitments. If you got an injured player, it's no problem. It's like a new season every week, so you're never stuck with the same players. And get this, DraftKings is crowning a new millionaire every week this season. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code KINDOFFUNNY to play for free with your first deposit in this Sunday's $1 million fantasy football contest, where first place takes home $100,000. Enter Kinda Funny for free now, only at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
It would be nice to be able to not play with injuries in my fantasy league, since my team is just atrocious right now.
Well, you should go over to DraftKings.com.
Yeah, I'm in a
promo code
whole
Kinda Funny.
network of, I've got 3 fantasy teams, and we have a donut pool at work, and I'm in all, no matter what, like the scenarios are all bad. I'm rooting against myself.
Yeah, I'm in one very serious pay league with my uncle and his friends. I've been playing with them for a long time, and it's they're just really good, and they I draft well, but then my waiver moves are really questionable, and
it's a whole thing.
It's bad.
It sounds like a thing.
It's not good.
So, topic 3 of the day. Usually, the final topic of the day is brought to you by the Kinda Funny forums, where we get audience questions. We read them to you, kindafunny.com/forums. But what we're going to do is a little something different. We got so many great questions from you guys that the final 2 topics are both going to be audience driven.
Cool.
I'm really excited about this. We talked a little bit about Halo in the first topic, talking about 2015 games. But I want to dive a little bit deeper for my boy Joey V, who wants to know, is Halo as big of a deal as it used to be?
It's a good question, Joey. I think what makes Halo special is it's not a you wait years to play it. It's not a title that comes every year. It's got a really rich, deep story. For me, it is, like what Star Wars is to movies, Halo is to video games. And I've grown up playing Halo, and it's been such a big part of our Xbox heritage. And I think what the team has done with this title, I believe will remove any doubt, I think, about the power of Halo. Not that there's been a lot. I think most people are mostly really been excited about the game. And I think the innovations they're making with multiplayer will allow it to have a longer tail, if you will. But the story and the campaign, which is what is always been the core of Halo, is the best I've ever played. And so I can give my full, and of course I'm the marketing guy, so I guess take that with a grain of salt. But I'm not saying that for everything. I really do truly believe this is a very special version of Halo. And I think people are going to be really excited.
Second question, also Halo related, from Hollow Drone. How do you approach Halo marketing? It's quite appropriate for you. I feel it's been quite corporate and stiff the last few years, but things like the new 20-second advertisements for next week's Halo 5 live event are much more tongue-in-cheek. I think focusing on that sort of thing is key to keeping people engaged with it. I would like if you spoke about the game as less of a product or an experience and more as a fun game and a fun universe to explore and play in. As the marketing guy, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have different segments of audience. So we can reach Xbox fans and we can reach Halo fans pretty easily, like through our DAS, through what we call our own channels. We have our social channels. We have ways to, reach people through our own channels. How do we reach mainstream gamers and mainstream consumers who really then have to go to media? So we have to go to our TV campaigns. The launch event that we're doing is very much in the same thing as to connect millions of fans around the world and allow them to experience this together, get excited about the Halo launch the day before it comes out. And so it's great to hear he's liked some of the teaser spots. The team that is producing that show has produced some great teaser spots. They're kind of funny little, kind of funny.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
You didn't miss that. Yeah.
Appropriate.
Yeah. So there's one where it's like Barry White kind of slow jamming, and then there's one where it's like this Thug Life meme thing. And so, but it's, it's all
Thug Life meme.
There's
one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's red versus blue. It looks like a gang war. And then it just pauses and it does I think kind of the MIDI version of Tupac. So we don't
That's awesome.
Yeah. We don't get sued, I guess. And so, but it's just been fun. And the idea is that they're fun and they're shareable. And we're just basically shamelessly trying to promote the show to get people to watch it. So that's the idea.
Quite familiar with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim's our marketer.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw you did. I love your reading was good.
Thank you.
I think you should stick with us.
Okay, good. Yeah. I've been doing it a while.
Brought to you by DraftKings.
I really like Halo because I think it's such a unique game in the sense that it is played so differently by so many different people. And like you saying that there's different kind of subsects of fans. Yeah. Like some of my best friends are like the biggest Halo fans, and like my friend Alfredo is super into the competitive multiplayer side of it. Yeah. But then some of my other friends are super into the campaign. And I think that Halo's campaign kind of differs from things like Call of Duty and stuff, where people enjoy like Colin, you're a big fan of Call of Duty's campaign specifically over its multiplayer side. And those games always do kind of push the envelope when it comes to like what a first-person shooter campaign can be. Yeah. But I think Halo's different in its lore and the fact that every game kind of builds upon the last, and people are excited to know what happens next. So you're kind of saying like bringing up Star Wars, like that's really relevant. And it's great that there's people that will never play the Halo 5 campaign, but will still think Halo's a great game because they play online, and play with their friends. And then co-op is a whole other thing, and like the culture of just beating it on Legendary and being able to say, I beat it on Legendary. That's a thing. It is. And like a lot of other first-person shooters don't really have that kind of legacy with it. And just then there's the ultimate Halo fans that like all of it. They want the campaign experience, they want the co-op experience, they want the multiplayer experience. So
and we see fans, they're fascinated by the story, the characters, trying to figure out what's going to happen. And I think that's what makes it so fun. It's like we're all watching, we saw the trailer for the new Star Wars movie, and I think Halo has that same type of feel. And New York Times bestseller books, and a lot of people read The Fall of Reach, and we're actually making a Fall of Reach animated series. We're actually going to debut the first episode of that in our live show on the 26th.
Oh, cool.
That is one of our things we have in our limited edition SKU. And so another way to kind of, it's not a lot of video games where there's actually like a whole movie that tells you the story behind a lot of what's happening. That was a book and a movie, and it's like, and it leads up to like what's happening in the game. And so, just that richness of the universe and the characters, and whether, ideally, like whether you've played Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4 and Reach and ODST or not, you can jump in and kind of, okay, I got it. Like there's 2 characters, here's the basics of the story, and you can instantly get in and feel like you're getting something immersive that, I don't know, I think is unique. I think it is different than what a lot of other games do.
Something I really liked about the marketing of Halo 5 was how the podcast, the Hunt the Truth podcast, like, we do podcasts, so we're looking at the charts all the time, especially with PS I Love You, which is now, #1 PlayStation podcast.
Well done.
It's always cool to see Hunt the Truth has been just up there consistently. It's always in the top 3 spot. And it's like, that's really awesome. That's a pretty unique way to promote the games and kind of promote the stories, and people seem to be really into it.
Yeah, and I think we had a great team that went off and put that together, and we were able to get some really good talent to be able to do that, and worked really closely with 343 and the team on the story. I mean, I got hooked on it. I was like, every week when there's a new episode, I didn't know what was going to be in the episodes, and so I was listening. It became so popular that we decided to do a second season, which is up now, running now. And it's just a great way. I think, again, back to like, there's a story, there's a richness of the universe, and it's fascinating. I think, again, for core fans that want to know and understand more, as well as other people that are like, hey, I just want to get introduced to this universe. And, like we played in the car, the podcast in the car, and, my wife will listen to it, for example. And like, she's not a big Halo fan, but she's totally like, oh wow, and she remembers the last one, and so you kind of bring other people along into the story. And so whether you're a core Halo fan or not, and so we've had fun doing a lot of interesting, innovative things with the campaign, and now we are officially running the final campaign trailer. We are using licensed music.
Yeah,
I think one of the first times
that
I've ever
launch
done that.
trailer got me so hyped.
Nice.
We did like a breakdown of it and stuff, and oh man, like to me, I love Halo, and specifically I'm a campaign guy.
Yeah.
And I've been like kind of like, like 5's coming. It's not that I'm not excited.
Sure.
It's like whatever. It's Halo 5 at this point. We get it.
Yeah.
Then I saw the trailer. I'm like, I want this game. Like, I need to play.
We're doing our job. Yes. All right.
As a marketing guy myself, a question I have for you is: so when Halo is a game that has such different fan bases, whether it's campaign or multiplayer and all that, do you kind of have? And I'm not even saying budget in terms of just financial, but also just in terms of how much time and thought you put into the planning. Do you have 100% of effort and you kind of divide that 100% up into, well, this much goes to multiplayer, this much goes to campaign or whatever? Or is it kind of like there are 2 separate things that you guys are promoting multiplayer, you guys are promoting campaign?
Yeah, good question. So we tend to think about the whole thing holistically, and then we work with creative agencies that go off and produce the campaigns for us. We actually have a creative team internally that manages them. We work very closely with. Traditionally, Halo has been much more campaign led, and so this time we really wanted to dial up the focus on multiplayer as well. And so I'd say that's the biggest difference was, hey, how do we tell more of the multiplayer story, the innovation that's happening with Warzone, and some of that is through whether the campaign, marketing assets we'll create, whether they're ads or digital pieces or whatever, but also like, what do we show at events, and so we did some stuff at E3 where we showed the campaign, but then we let everyone play Warzone on the show floor, and we did the whole HoloLens experience with Halo as well to kind of brief you before you went and played Warzone. Then we focused on more esports and the arena stuff at Gamescom. And so you kind of, we try to, when it's the right story to the right audience at the right time, but it is a lot to tell. And so you could overwhelm people, I think, if you try to tell them it all at once. But if it's sort of like, here's some campaign, here's some Warzone, here's some competitive multiplayer. And then at the end, with the, hopefully, like your reaction, people see the gameplay ad and go, wow, this is a game that I got to have.
That's awesome, man.
You're all right?
Yeah, I am.
Are you choked up about Halo?
I am. I'm getting a little sad.
I was gonna say you're having a moment.
That was weird. I don't know. Felt like there was sand in my throat. Our boy Maximum Cortez wants to know, what game did you think would be a huge hit that didn't do as well as you thought it would, and what game surprised you when it sold well?
Ooh, good questions. I think we learned a lot from Sunset Overdrive last holiday. Title reviewed really well. It did okay, but it didn't blow out numbers. And I think largely, it launched within a week of like Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed and Master Chief Collection. And, so within 2-3 weeks. And so I think it's hard sometimes for new IP like that because customers have only a certain amount of money to spend on games. And, with new IP, I think it's much harder to break out during holiday. And we've definitely seen that. So I think that would be one example of one where I'd say I played the game. I thought it was it was actually my favorite game of last year for Xbox, our first party titles. And, but it didn't it didn't show up number one on the sales charts or anything like that. And then I think, for this year, I would say so far, the thing that has surprised me the most has been Rare Replay. It's selling really well. We'll probably sell twice as many as we planned. And so just the reaction to that. And I think just the love of of Rare and what they've created. And I think it's a great value. You get 30 games for $30. So it's like $1 a game. So, and there's a lot of great games there. So that's probably been the one that surprised me the most.
As a quick a side question, since you brought up Sunset Overdrive, made by Insomniac studio, I know very well. I'm friends with Marcus and Drew, who were the guys that helped create that, and I know them obviously from Resistance, which was when I was doing the PlayStation beat at IGN. So we're quite friendly. And I went, and did that was the first time I ever went to first party preview coverage. I went and did Sunset when we were still at IGN. And I was also really intrigued by the game. Is there any interest in doing a sequel or working with Insomniac again, or you guys have kind of moved on from that situation?
At this time, I don't think we've announced anything. We had a great experience working with Insomniac. We were happy with the title, but again, it didn't, blow out. It wasn't like a blowout breakout success. I think the title was really innovative. It was a really fun game to play. But I think in some ways, if there's you have to find that consumer sort of alignment with what is the one sentence description if you're in an elevator with me to describe what Sunset Overdrive is? And I think a lot of people took it was over the top action and it was but in many ways it was kind of a skateboarding game with guns, and it was super fun over the top action. And so I think if people, and of course it's not a skateboarding game, but so it became, I think is probably our own fault. It became a hard game to describe what it is. And I think, if you're struggling to even just simply describe what the game is, we don't have that problem with Forza or Halo or other titles. I think that might have been part of the challenge for us.
The Awesome Apocalypse.
Awesome Apocalypse.
I liked that a lot.
Yeah, and we had fun. I mean, we made the weapons and we had the TNT gun, and we had people.
I like
firing
the vinyl record shooter was cool.
Yeah. So we did all. We had the energy drink. I'm forgetting now. We have cases of that in our office. Still.
What was that called? I don't remember.
God, I forget.
I can see it. It's blue and orange. I can see the can. I had it on my desk.
Oh, my team would
Overcharge.
Thank you,
Scooter.
Yeah.
Scooter, for the win.
Joey Fatoni says, will we ever see any of the plans for Xbox One that they dropped come back? I like the idea of physical and digital for everything. Also, what's one feature you'd like to see on Xbox One that PlayStation 4 has?
So, as far as the first question, I didn't quite understand. Most of our games we do launch physical and digital.
Yeah, okay.
But we do hear a lot of the we wish you did a lot of that, so I think people really liked some of the vision and things that we wanted to do with the platform, and I think we're delivering on a lot of those. I mean, now we're pre-order games, and there's you can share gold, and you can, if you make it your home console, people can play and anyone else can play all your games on your console. So there is a lot of nice benefits to what a lot of that vision that people heard about. With that said, we're still innovating. We still have a long list of things we want to do, and backward compatibility this holiday is one example of something that we're really excited to deliver on. But there'll be more stuff, the new Xbox One experience, of course. And then, but there'll be more and more things we'll be bringing throughout the next year. And then the second question was,
what's a feature from PS4 that you'd like?
I'd like to sell as much as them. Maybe is that
it's a great feature?
Yeah, I mean, because frankly, it's that's the fuel, right? So I mean, the more you sell, the more you can reinvest. And so we've been really fortunate that our console sales are up against 360. Our game sales are up. We feel like we're delivering the games, and so we're happy with where we are. I think Sony's done a lot of great innovation. I mean, I have a PS4 and I've been excited with what they've done, and their last round of updates I thought were fantastic. And I have friends that work there too. So I think both systems are doing well. Both systems are selling a lot of games, and so we've innovated in different ways, perhaps. But yeah, I think for us, there's not a lot of things that we didn't do this year that we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. So I lied to everybody. We are running out of time. So we're only going to do one round of the things. Let's go lightning round real quick through a couple more before we got to let you go.
Cool.
Foxygen wants to know, Final Fantasy VII Remake's coming to PS4 and PC. Do you think it might come to Xbox One?
That would be a question to ask Square Enix. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I love when people ask about in individual third-party games. We always want to have as many games as possible for our fans. So that would be a question to ask Square.
Trevor Starkey wants to know how much time and thought goes into bundles.
Quite a bit. That's not my team works with the game sides, whether it's a first party game or a third party side, but we have a hardware platform team that does that. I mean, this year, I think we have 12 or 13 different bundles. And the idea was, hey, we have all these great games. This is a year we think a lot of people are going to be migrating from Xbox 360 to Xbox One. So there's a Madden bundle and a FIFA bundle and a Gears bundle and a Tomb Raider bundle and a Fallout bundle. Like we've got, and then we've got, our value bundle with Ori and Rare Replay and Gears, right? Mm-hmm. So there's just, no matter what type of game you're looking for, if you're looking to buy a console, you're going to find a great value in one of those bundle offers.
It's Pish Poss asks, do you think we'll see any more exclusive benefits for day one Xbox One owners?
Exclusive, like day one edition SKU. We talked a lot about that. It really comes down to our retailers' interest and how important that is. And, what we don't want to do is have like a day one SKU that's like there 2 months later,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's to be something special for day one. I think it depends on the title and the case. Largely, most of those tend to be tied to pre-order campaigns. And so you'll continue to see us offer things as a benefit for pre-ordering games. I would say that will be more the focus than a day one SKU, but there will be titles that do special things on day one. I mean, Halo, we've got the Halo console, we've got the limited collector's edition, the Triforce statue of Lock and Chief that's out now. We released both those a week ahead of the game so that people can pre-download the game and have it ready when it launches. Depending on the title, there's reasons why we'll do bigger things for those. I would consider both day ones. Those things will sell out, within a week or two.
Final question.
Yes.
From some random guy called Destin Legary. He wants to know, what does the X in Xbox stand for?
Ooh, I don't think it stands for anything.
We know that answer well from when we worked at IGN and everyone asked us that same question. It doesn't stand for anything.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have to let you go. I'm sorry I lied to all of you, but
yeah, we have an accelerated schedule. We appreciate it though, and you are always welcome with us. So we hope to see you again sooner.
No, thank you for having me. I'm a fan of the show. I love what you guys are doing, and it's awesome to see you guys go off and do your own thing. And I think you guys are more than kind of funny. I mean, I think you guys are legitimately funny.
Thank you, thank you, Aaron. We appreciate that.
I'll take it.
Yeah, we'll have to. We'll get you back on the show in the future when you're back, and we'll hopefully see you at E3 and all that as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for the final topic of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Man, I fucked up.
You did fuck up.
I thought we were good. I thought that we had way more time than we did.
They got here a little late, and we got to respect their schedules as well. So we got 50 good minutes in. But I feel like the podcast wouldn't be long enough without a fourth topic.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we had to do that. Mm-hmm. We need the fourth. Mm-hmm. We owe them the fourth. So
we do.
I went over to the Kind of Funny forums over at kindoffunny.com/forums. Looked at the Gamecast topic for topic suggestions. If you have them, please go there. Leave some. We'll get to them next week or the week after or some week in the following future. But gathered a whole bunch of your questions together. We're going to go through them. Not so Xbox related.
Okay.
So this Xbox topic is now...
I wouldn't be able to speak to that too authoritatively.
Just a normal topic.
Cool. Fantastic.
All right. Getting into this. Daniel Adult Man.
Let
me tell you, I'm loving these names. Like,
that's a good one.
Recently, I've been seeing a lot of good usernames. So shout out to you, Daniel Adult Man. Hey guys, Halloween is near, and it got me thinking about what my favorite horror games are. So what are your favorite horror games? This is interesting because this topic, if you're watching on YouTube, will be going live the day before Halloween.
Oh.
So Hallows Eve, which is some bullshit.
I told you all.
Long Island motherfuckers.
It wasn't on Long Island. It wasn't on Long Island. It was when I lived in New England, and I told you. And my favorite thing about that, by the way, on Game Over Greggy's show, I think it was all the responses of everyone telling me that, once again, I was right.
Yeah.
And I know that it's hard for everyone to imagine.
It was actually
how can a man be right
Twitter
so much?
thing. It was a Twitter thing.
Okay.
Where me and you were
That's what it was,
talking.
yeah.
You tried telling me that the Halloween Eve is a thing. And I'm like, you're what?
I'm telling
Fuck
you that when I lived in Maine.
And then I tweeted about it and I get all these people screaming at me. And I'm like, oh man, like they smell like Long Island people. I get this. And then someone posts a picture of the United States like color heat breakdown of who the fuck gives a shit about this bullshit ass day. And it's literally just like this small little section over in your East Coast glass
Real
palace.
America. Favorite horror game. My favorite horror game is Dead Space.
Yes.
Although, yeah, how do we define this word too? Because is BioShock a horror game? Because to me, that's one of my favorite games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm a huge fan of the old Resident Evil games. And Resident Evil 4, I think, is the epitome of that as well. More recent games, Outlast, I think, would probably be my favorite horror game of the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good. This week, as you guys have probably seen, if you listen to us on Patreon, a little hint at the future is going to be a whole bunch of horror Let's Plays by yours truly. Half of them with Colin, half of them with Nick. They're pretty good. We're doing a whole bunch of stuff. Until Dawn, PT, Slender, and Outlast. So they've been pretty cool. I'm excited to see the reaction to them. I have to give a shout out to Fatal Frame. Specifically Fatal Frame 2 on the PS2. That game scared the shit out of me. And it was a very creepy game. And something about the PlayStation 2's inability for realism, like even when it's trying for it, made everything that much creepier.
A little unsettling. Yeah, I can respect that. The new Fatal Frame just came out, I think, on Wii U.
On the Wii U.
I don't think anyone liked it, but
yeah, I heard it was okay, but people are upset about censorship stuff.
Oh, they censored it. Is that what everyone was upset about? Because I saw there was a lot of
people get mad about
upsetness.
that stuff. Yeah, which that's a whole other topic. It is something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a whole bunch of horror games that are definitely. I love Slender. The Arrival, the first time I played it was for this Let's Play. Didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the original Slender like demo thing, the 8 pages that they did, because that game is fucking scary. And I enjoy it because a lot of these scary games you play and it's like you expect to get scared all the time, but it takes like Outlast takes a good 30 minutes of playing before like a scare happens.
Right.
The original Slender. Scares happen within the first 5 minutes.
And I do think I want to give a shout out to Outlast specifically because of the mechanic. I think mechanics can contribute a lot to what makes a game scary. So I think that like the lack of solid control in old Resident Evil games was almost one of the things that made them scary because you couldn't reliably get away from them. Although that's an excuse because that wasn't the intent of the bad controls. That's just a byproduct of them. But Outlast's camera, I think is a really super clever mechanic, managing your batteries and stuff like that. I think it's just a really neat mechanic. Dead Space's mechanic that made it, or Dead Space's really presentation is what made it stand out. And the Ishimura, going back and forth to rooms you've already been to and looking for slight discrepancies or things or new blood. And all. I think Dead Space, the original Dead Space, is really a masterpiece. I actually think that game is I would even go as far as to say is underrated as far as
really
as far as
I feel like
horror
it's pretty
games is concerned.
Fairly rated in terms of horror. I guess that's true.
They ruined. It's funny because EA and Visceral jumped off a cliff way sooner than I thought they were going to with that series, as opposed to it took a little while for Capcom to ruin Resident Evil, but they ruined Dead Space pretty quickly.
They did,
which was unfortunate to watch.
Yeah. Jake LL wants to know what we think about Guitar Hero Live. So
I've not played it, so this is all you.
I've played a couple hours of it, and so far I'm in love with it. It reminds me of everything that I liked about Guitar Hero back in the day, and Rock Band, and all that other stuff when it was fresh and new. And having not played these, peripheral games in a couple of years, going back to Rock Band, it's like, it as fun as it is, and it definitely is fun. I had a lot of fun with Rock Band when I played it. All the bullshit and all the things that don't work and all the little seconds of like, why is this taking so long to load this thing? Why can't I find this song? Like all the questions that I have get in the way of it. And then once I play it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. And there's something about the fact that we've played these songs all before, and it's like we're just doing it again. It's cool. It's like, oh, it's been a while, but it's like, all right, there's a little too much available to me. It's not tailored to give me an experience anymore. It's just kind of like, it's like the difference between when you're talking about music, listening to an album and just turning on the radio and just having a bunch of shit there,
right?
Or not even the radio, like iTunes, and just buying stuff willy-nilly and like downloading shit. Whereas Guitar Hero, Guitar Hero Live reminds me of what I loved so much about the early Guitar Hero games and the early Rock Band games, which was it's a music discovery platform, and it's also a new experience for me with the new guitar, where when I'm playing it, I feel like, fuck, I don't know how to do this. I keep fucking up. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm not fucking this up. I can do this. And I remember when I first played the original Guitar Hero, the difference between, all right, my fingers are on the first 4, adding that 5th button and having to slide your finger, that was like a step that you had to overcome in your head. And with this Guitar Hero, with the new one, I've already experienced multiple steps in learning how to do it, and it's fun and it's awesome. The presentation's really cool. I love the tutorials. They just throw you into being in a concert, doing the live thing, and you just have to, you don't even get to choose the songs. It's just 3 songs back to back that they assign. It's kind of like just a predestined thing. And I liked it because unlike Rock Band, where it's like, all right, you have a bad set list, I'm just going to download the things that I like, and you just play those things. This reminds me of what I loved about the old ones, where it's like, I don't know these songs. These are fun to play. They chose these. They want me to play these songs. There is a thought and an order to this set list. Right. I am growing and learning with this game, and I'm learning about new music. And it's like, that, to me, is Guitar Hero. That's what makes it good. The biggest problem with Guitar Hero, I'm not going to dedicate the time to learn it and to have it be the party game that I think they want it to be.
Yeah, and it's almost like, in that respect, it reminds me of a sports game or a really popular shooter, where it's a game that you learn and you play and you play and you play. Because of it's even more than that, because of the financial investment of getting these games being not comparable to a normal $60 game, because they're not. I mean, Rock Band especially is just really expensive. It's funny because I was really of the mind that it was time for these games to come back, and now I'm of the mind that I might have been wrong, and that maybe not wrong for some people that are enjoying them. There's always going to be people that enjoy these games, but I'm really interested to see how these games do, especially Rock Band, which a lot of people seem to be down about, and I don't know. I'm not even really interested in playing Guitar Hero, even though I appreciate kind of the differences of the game compared to Rock Band, which I think is very static and stagnant compared to the other ones. Although I will say that my patience for bullshit is also becoming lower as I get older too. So like the syncing of the controllers, we had a lot of problems with that, or the instruments. It reminds me, I was playing Oregon Trail yesterday on Vita, and the controls are just so atrocious when you're shooting in that game. I'm like, I don't have patience. Like I have no time for excuses and all these kinds of things. Like I'm moving on now. I gotta play something different. So, It's one of those things where these games are such a significant investment that I hope people are really going to get the bang for their buck ultimately, because I don't feel like they're getting their bang for their buck out of the box, especially with the set list of these games. Yeah,
I mean, Guitar Hero set list I love, and the fact that the set list on the box is not even representative at all of what the game really has because of the
I think that might be all I've seen. So yeah.
So there's Guitar Hero Live, which is like you play and whatever. Then there's Guitar Hero TV, which is kind of this music streaming service where at any time you go on, there's a different set of songs that you get to play for free. And it's like curated playlists and stuff. And like, it's just, the set list is awesome. It's fucking awesome. So that it's going to be exciting to see how this all shakes out. I don't think it's going to shake out well. I don't think that these games are going to, be the huge hits that they used to be, or that maybe people expect them or want them to be now. But this is the Guitar Hero I wanted. Like, they made the perfect Guitar Hero for people that want just to get better at learning the game and being good at it. This isn't a party game. This isn't like all that stuff like Rock Band. This is not that.
Yeah, at least it's certainly drawing a comparison to its competitor, so you don't get two of the same games. Mm-hmm. I'm not even wondering about critical reception, which has been I would say lukewarm, but still good for both games. I'm even wondering if these games are going to be profitable.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how people like kind of recept it, especially Guitar Hero, I think, because Rock Band is at this point a thing people accept. Guitar Hero is definitely a step in a different direction. And a lot of people are upset about the microtransactions. Have you heard about how Guitar Hero is doing this?
I saw people upset about it, but I don't know the
So people are really mad about it. It's a new style of microtransactions where you can't own the downloadable content for Guitar Hero. You can't just pay $1 and have the songs. You pay for like play tokens, and your token can choose, you can play the song. Then there's things where it's like you can buy like 24-hour party passes where it's like $6 or whatever it is.
I wonder why that is.
I think it's totally like a licensing thing.
I was going to say, it sounds like a licensing.
And like, this is it's upsetting, but you get the play tokens by playing the game.
So you don't have to buy them.
So you don't have to buy them. And like, I'm unlocking these things left and right where I'm like, this is kind of cool. And constantly, because of Guitar Hero TV, you don't get to choose the songs you play. If you want to choose, you need to pay or use a token that you can gain in game. But there's always playlists that are free. So there's always samples of different songs. Every time you turn it on, it's a different set of songs you get to try out for free.
No, I like that. It sounds my thing with microtransactions is as long as it's not too egregious, and it doesn't sound as egregious here since you can earn them organically in the game. And it's a single player game, so you're not breaking it for anyone else. It's like, what does it really matter at that point? I mean, it's kind of complaining about nothing almost.
It's interesting though, because I think people are going to be mad and upset that they
people
can't
are mad and upset about everything.
The song.
That I understand why people would be upset about, but that does sound like classic licensing issues where it's they could not negotiate in perpetuity these.
The other big thing is Guitar Hero TV has music videos playing in the background, like the actual music videos.
That's
so
cool.
I think
Yeah,
that's
I heard that.
another level of licensing,
legalese and complications.
It's
Yeah,
complicated.
yeah.
We'll see how it all shakes out. Onificate says The Rise of the Tomb Raider is a timed exclusive for the Xbox One and won't be released for PlayStation 4 until fall 2016. My question is, what are your opinions on timed exclusive deals like that? Are they sound business deals, immoral, or somewhere in between?
What was the second one? A moral?
Yeah.
It's nothing moral or immoral about business. Is it a sound decision? Probably. It bolsters Microsoft's, in this case, Microsoft's exclusive portfolio. I'm sure that there was an exchange of money. There's no doubt about that. I don't see why Square Enix, which is the publisher, would really want to limit the reach of the game, especially watching what happened with a game like Titanfall, for instance, which would have done much better had it been multi-platform. But these deals are made a long time ago. Again, as I've said in the past with Titanfall, if EA knew what was going to happen with Xbox One early on, I'm sure they wouldn't have made that deal. And who knows what Square would have done. But again, the infusion of capital from the first party might make these games possible or make them break even without even having to sell a game. So there's all these business ramifications. How do I feel about them? I think it's fine. The gaming is a competitive marketplace, and these things do matter, and they do work. People that are big fans of Tomb Raider will not want to wait a year, and if they don't own an Xbox, they're going to buy one. So it makes sense. I don't think, is there morality in business and immorality in business? Sure there is, but this is not an example of immorality in business. Immorality in business is, betting against mortgages that you own and hoping they fail or something like that. That's immoral. But economics, the market will dictate whether these things work or not, and time again, these timed exclusives do work.
Yeah. Flea Dog wants to know what our favorite gaming peripheral of all time is.
I don't know. I remember getting Super Scope 6 when I was a kid for Christmas, and I really just wanted it to play with it outside.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I did. I just had like a cool little bazooka that I can shoot fake enemies with. I don't know. I mean, I like the NES Zapper. It was use is very limited, like 2 games. But generally, I don't really care much for peripherals at all. So the answer is none. I'm fine with a controller. I want a controller. I want to play games with a controller. I want gimmicks.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Guitar Hero controller, definitely. Specifically, the Guitar Hero.
I guess those work. Yeah.
3 controller. Man, I fucking loved that thing. But besides that, I gotta give a shout out to the transfer pack that came with Pokemon Stadium, so that you could, hook your Pokemon Game Boy game up and use your Pokemon in the system, which was fucking mind blowing. And it also had a mode where you could play Pokemon on the TV, which was super fucking cool. Another shout out, the Super Game Boy.
Oh, yeah, Super Game Boy for SNES, and I was gonna say Game Boy Player as well for GameCube was really cool. Those I wouldn't really consider peripherals.
Yeah, the transfer pack I'd say is more of a peripheral.
Yeah.
But that was great. And I mean, the Rumble pack, now is nothing.
It was very novel back then.
First playing it with Star Fox was holy shit.
The Rumble was novel and copied, much copied. Yeah, there were some good ones that added, and some ones like the expansion pack on N64. I was like, this is such bullshit. But it is a good idea. I'm surprised that it's a good idea in that you can do more with the game and let your developers figure out ways to extract more out of a system that doesn't have the horsepower it did at the start. I'm surprised actually that PS4 and Xbox One are both so closed. I'm surprised that there's no way to expand them because it would make them live longer, but that's also complicated.
Final question of the day. Craig the Human asks, when do you think we'll see redesigns of the Xbox One and PlayStation 4?
Yeah, this is a common question. I don't know that you're going to see them quickly, but you have to remember that the redesign of PS3, let's see, 6 or 7, 8, 9. So it took 3 years for the PS3 to redesign. We're probably going to be in the same place for PS4. They don't redesign them just to redesign them. They redesign the consoles typically to make them cheaper to manufacture, and then they can drop the price or they can keep them static if they want. But it's mostly to Like when you look at PS3, the way it started, and then PS3 Slim, and then the third PS3 Slim, the third PS3, like the form and grill one, is like a third or a fourth of the size of the original PS3. It's all about like getting everything down and compiling it into as little as possible to save money. If PS4s are being already sold, hand over fist, and they're already making a profit off of them, then it might not be worth the R&D to make them. The imperative might not be on them to do that unless they can shave more money off. But since they just dropped the price of the PS4 as it is now, I will not expect to see a new PS4 until they're ready to drop the price again. And I don't think that's going to happen until next year or the year after.
I think another thing there too is the fact that they use the new versions to kind of promote, to get another spike in system sales. And with Uncharted 4 coming out, I don't think they need any other reasons to have a spike. Like that is gonna sell systems and that type of stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
I do think though that depending on what Nintendo does with the NX and announcing that at E3, I think that could somehow influence both sides, Xbox and PlayStation, to have redesigned things just to kind of steal the thunder a little bit from Nintendo. If they do announce a system, if they do announce a system that's more powerful.
I mean, the rumor is that it'll be at least as powerful. I don't think it'll be more powerful. That'll be really awesome if it was. That'd be really extraordinary. But I think actually I find the Xbox One personally to be quite inelegant. It's fucking massive. It's heavy.
Really,
the brick is not even inside of it. I don't understand how these two somewhat comparable consoles in terms of power. One is like got everything inside, including the power, and is half the size of the other one that's heavier in it. So I think that I want to see what the Microsoft engineers, being very smart people, what they can do to make that thing smaller and lighter and get that brick inside the system so you don't have this freaking massive thing singing outside your TV. I think that you'll see a redesigned Xbox One before you see a redesigned PS4.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Kind of Funny Gamescast. That topic brought to you by Loot Crate. Would you classify yourself as a geek, gamer, or pop culture nerd? Then this is the subscription box for you. For less than $20 a month, you get 6 to 8 items of gamer and pop culture licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique one-of-a-kind items, and more. Make sure to head to lootcrate.com/KFGames and enter code KFGames to save $3 on any new subscription. Every month, there's a different theme, and all items are curated around that theme. Basically, Loot Crate's like a friend who knows what you love and surprises you with an awesome present every month. You have until the 19th at 9 a.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when the cutoff happens, that's it. It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/KFGames and enter code KFGames to save $3 on your new subscription today. Colin.
Tim.
Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. And Cisco, I love you.
We love you, Cisco.
And I love everyone else out there. Did you see this?
Well, I've seen him tweeting out lately.
Recently, he tweeted at me and he was just like, how come you didn't say I love you? I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, your sign off on Gamescast. I'm like, I didn't even realize that was like a thing. And a whole bunch of people responded like, yeah, I don't feel loved.
Know that we love you, especially you, Cisco.
Yeah, especially.
Know that we especially love you.